Emotional intimacy. So, emotional intimacy is at the heart of what most couples want to have more of. We want to feel safe in our feelings. We want to feel comfortable sharing our emotions. We want to feel connected emotionally with our partner. And this is the state of emotional intimacy. It means that it's okay. It's more than okay. It's welcome to share how we feel, that there's an understanding around emotions, that there's a support. Sometimes it might feel like we can have the same feeling together, whether that's a relaxing feeling, a passionate feeling, a joyful feeling, a curiosity or kind of intellectual feeling. Whatever it is a sharing of emotions that creates emotional intimacy. So let's look at some practices that we can do to have more emotional intimacy and create emotional intimacy with each other. Sometimes getting creative is what will help emotional intimacy a lot. So you could imagine some ways that you add something new to your relationship or that you sense a shared feeling and connection together. That might be through telling each other memories of good times together, important times together, kind of pivotal moments. Couples have shared stories that help create that weaving together of emotional truth and emotional depth. It could be that you put on music in order to help you feel, or you do some kind of movement practice together. Emotional intimacy, while it's not about sexual intimacy. Emotional intimacy can often be felt more when the whole body is included in the process of feeling the emotion. So if both people lie down and have their heads together or sit back to back, these are ways to increase that sense of sharing of the feelings through the body. Now, another way that we can do this more through conversation is just through everyday sharing a little bit about our emotions, being able to talk about emotions. So, when there's a lack of emotional intimacy, one of the things that is often going on is that one or both partners is sort of starving emotionally. They don't know how to give expression or voice, or they're fearful of sharing how they feel. And this can be very isolating. It can be scary. It makes one feel vulnerable and like protection is needed. So by just sharing feelings and listening without judgment to feelings, accepting the other one's feelings, emotional intimacy is increased. If it's really hard to name emotions for yourself or your partner, look up a list of all the emotions and see what it's like to check out if your emotions match any of the things on the list. Like, we all have different ways that we feel sadness, but there's 10 different words to describe that. See which one is right for you. Excitement has different words. Fear has different words. Love has different words. So look at the words that best identify and describe your feelings. And that will start to increase your depth of understanding your emotions. And that will lead to being able to share emotions and create more emotional intimacy. So let's look now at some of the other practices. One that I really think is important is making a point to be a safe space for your partner's emotions and to ask your partner to be a safe space for your emotions. So, what does that mean, a safe space? It might help you to think of a metaphor like a soft place to land, a comfy chair, a beautiful place in nature that's a safe space. It might be sharing with your partner that they don't need to change you, that you don't want to be made to feel better. You just want to be heard. And it might mean sharing more energy together, less words about emotions. Some people are more physical, they're more sensitive to energy, and they're not about giving voice or talking about feelings. So some practices you can do in that case is you can sit back to back and do back breathing and just see what it's like to sync up your breathing. Another one you can do is eye gazing and maybe put a hand, one on your heart, one on their heart. And they would be doing the same. So your hands might be overlapping on the heart space, and just syncing up in connection emotionally through that practice can be very powerful. Another is to put hands one on top of the other like this, and one is the giver and one is the receiver, and then you switch. So the giver gives energy from the top. So if I was doing it with someone, my hands would be like this. I would be giving energy. And as we give energy, we can think of ways we love. I'm giving you a beautiful sunrise. I'm giving you a warm cup of tea. I'm giving you cuddles. I'm playing your favorite song. And as we have those thoughts, we are giving that energy through our hands. The receiver doesn't have to do anything but just stay in an open, receptive posture, and maybe breathe and just feel an expansion in their being as they take in, and then switch roles. Now, it's really important that when doing this practice, no criticism is offered, no judgment. You weren't receiving well. I could tell you were kind of scared as you were receiving. That wouldn't be very emotionally intimate creating, right? So just accept your partner the way they do the practice with you. You don't have to feel anything specifically. As you get more attuned to this giving and receiving of energy, there might start to feel like a kind of flow happening between you, like a energy giving is flowing into you the way a channel or a river flows. This can be experienced different ways for different people. It might be a heat, it might be a tingly sensation. So there's not a right or wrong way to feel this receiving and giving of energy, but it can really help create that emotional intimacy. Now, another, let's see if I've missed any. Oh, this is one I like because it's so easy for us to do on our own, and it really opens up our heart and our caring channel, you could say, for the other person. So just imagining your partner's feelings, imagining their perspective, working on your compassion and empathy. So you're just working on yourself here, imagining your partner maybe in their job and what they go through, imagining your partner as a younger person, as a child, imagining some disappointment or some excitement, some joy your partner has. And as you imagine your partner, just do this for like 3 minutes. See what it's like to let yourself feel for them. Feel for their younger self. Feel for their joyful times. Feel for their difficulties. And this is, again, that increase of that heart warmth that you have. And it brings emotional intimacy in you towards them. This is really helpful if you've been feeling kind of stuck and feeling anything but frustration or irritation about your partner. Can really help to do this practice of imagining them and feeling for them. This will bring more variety of feelings in you. This is not something to then share with them because you're not being a mind reader. You're not understanding exactly how they felt things. You're just becoming more compassionate and more understanding in yourself towards them. And that is opening up your heart. So remember, just a quick recap, we can share our feelings together, talk about our emotions. We can come up with a metaphor of a safe space that we are giving to each other. We can each have our own metaphor for that. We can do back breathing or eye gazing or heart to heart. as a way of connecting and sharing that emotional intimacy. If it's hard to know what emotions we have are, look at a list of emotions and find what matches you. Get better at talking about emotions together and accepting each other's way of being with emotions. We do not have to be the same in this regard. Also, giving and receiving energy, and imagining our partner's perspective, feeling for them. So those are all the practices, a lot of them. So choose your favorite to do this week. And it's a real thing, by the way, to have emotional starvation. So if we've had emotional starvation going on, it can feel like our partner never shares anything about their feelings. And if we share our feelings, they sort of put down our emotions. That's real. That happens. And if that's been happening for you, I want you to know that you're never wrong. You're not too much emotionally. All your emotions are valid. And your partner may have some difficulties in feeling, and so they project on you that you have too many feelings or that you're too much, or if they've been starving you emotionally, like literally not connecting with you emotionally, then it can make our emotions get bigger and more explosive because we're suffering. And so that's normal. You are totally perfect in the way you are. And you can find other tools I offer in emotional regulation, and you can work with what degree it is safe to share emotionally with your partner. I would recommend going slower. Your partner would be in a defensive place. And when it comes to emotions, so this work might have to go more slowly. It might be better to do the energy work than the talking about emotions if the partner's not safe. And please, please look into more of the meditations and the ways to comfort yourself, to know that you are enough, more than enough, and that your emotions matter. And you can have emotional intimacy with friends as well as romantic partners. So increase the people in your life that you can share your emotions with. That's always a good idea. The more we can connect with others at the emotional level, the more we feel whole and connected, and our hearts are open. Our hearts are open and safe. So this allows us to trust ourselves and to trust others.